Imagine it's the early 1800s. The United States is still a young nation, trying to prove itself on the world stage. But across the Atlantic, two giants, Britain and France, are locked in a bitter war. And America? It's stuck right in the middle. American ships are sailing across the oceans, trading goods with both countries. But the British Navy, the most powerful in the world, doesn't like that. They start stopping American ships, seizing cargo, and worst of all, forcing American sailors to serve in the British Navy. This practice is called impressment. Imagine being an American sailor, suddenly kidnapped at sea and made to fight for a country that isn't even yours. At the same time, on the western frontier, Native American tribes are resisting American expansion. And guess who is helping them with weapons and supplies? The British, from their strongholds in Canada. To many Americans, it feels like Britain is blocking their growth and treating them like a weak colony again. Inside the U.S. government, a group of fiery young politicians known as the War Hawks begin shouting for action. Leaders like Henry Clay and John C. Calhoun say, "Enough is enough. Britain must respect us as a free nation." They believe war will defend America's honor, protect its sailors, and maybe even allow them to conquer Canada. But not everyone agrees. Some Americans, especially in New England, are terrified. They rely on trade with Britain, and they know a war could destroy the economy. The nation is divided, but the anger keeps growing. By 1812, President James Madison feels the pressure. After years of insults, lost ships, and humiliated sailors, he finally decides America must fight back. And so, with heavy hearts and fiery speeches, Congress declares war on Britain. This is how the War of 1812 begins, not with glory, but with frustration, pride, and the desperate need for respect. It is the summer of 1812. The United States is standing at a crossroads. For years, Britain has been seizing American ships, capturing sailors, and arming native tribes on the frontier. The anger has reached its boiling point. Inside the halls of Congress, a fiery debate erupts. On one side are the War Hawks, young leaders like Henry Clay of Kentucky and John C. Calhoun of South Carolina. They stand tall and declare, "If Britain does not respect us, we must fight. A war will defend our honor, protect our sailors, and perhaps even expand our nation into Canada." But on the other side, there are voices of fear. Many representatives from New England rise up and warn. "War will ruin us. Our ships rely on British trade. If we fight, our economy will collapse." The chamber is divided, anger against caution, pride against fear. And then comes the decision. President James Madison, usually a cautious and thoughtful man, finally speaks. He has tried diplomacy. He has sent letters, envoys, peaceful requests. But Britain has ignored them all. Madison tells Congress, "We can no longer remain silent. The time has come to stand up for our independence once again." The vote is cast. On June 18, 1812, for the first time in American history, the United States declares war on another nation, Great Britain. Across the country, celebrations erupt. In the South and West, young men cheer, convinced this will be a quick and glorious war. They dream of marching into Canada as liberators. Newspapers shout headlines of pride. "America will not be bullied." But in the harbors of New England, silence and worry spread. Merchants fear bankruptcy. Families dread losing sons to the battlefield. The nation may have declared war, but it is not united. Still, the decision is made. America has drawn a line in the sand. And now, the world will see if this young republic truly has the strength to defend its honor. The year is 1812. America has just declared war with fiery speeches and bold dreams. Many believe it will be a short and glorious fight. Some even say, "We will march into Canada, and the British will surrender in weeks." But reality strikes hard. The U.S. Army is small, poorly trained, and badly organized. Most soldiers are volunteers with little experience. The generals are old men who fought in the Revolutionary War, brave, yes, but out of touch with modern battle. The first target is Canada. American leaders imagine it will be easy. The Canadians are waiting to be freed from British rule, they think. But when U.S. troops cross the border, they find not cheering crowds, but fierce resistance. Canadian militias and British soldiers fight back with determination. One of the worst moments comes at Detroit. General William Hull, frightened and confused, surrenders the entire fort without firing a single shot. Thousands of American soldiers lay down their weapons, humiliated. The news spreads like wildfire. America's proud army has lost before the war has even truly begun. In other battles along the Canadian border, at Queenston Heights and Montreal, the story is the same. Poor planning, weak leadership, and lack of supplies lead to crushing defeats. Meanwhile, the British Navy controls the seas, cutting off American trade. Blockades squeeze the economy. Across the young nation, the people who once shouted for war now whisper doubts. How could this happen? Was declaring war a mistake? Is America too young, too weak, to challenge the British Empire? But in the midst of these dark days, a spark of hope still glimmers. On the oceans, small but mighty American ships, like the famous USS Constitution, are preparing to strike back. And soon, the tide of the war will begin to shift. By late 1812, the war is underway, and the United States quickly realizes the size of the enemy it has challenged. Britain has the most powerful navy in the world, hundreds of warships, disciplined sailors, and centuries of experience ruling the seas. The British strategy is simple. If they cannot crush America quickly on land, they will strangle it from the sea. One by one, British ships spread along the American coastline. From New England to the Gulf of Mexico, they blockade the ports, stopping American trade. Merchant ships are trapped in harbors, unable to sail. Farmers and merchants watch helplessly as their goods rot on the docks. The lifeline of the American economy, its overseas trade, is slowly being choked. The blockade doesn't just hurt wallets, it brings fear. British warships patrol so close to the coast that sometimes people in coastal towns can see their sails on the horizon. The Royal Navy even launches raids, burning villages, seizing supplies, and terrifying the population. For the ordinary American, life grows harder. Prices of imported goods skyrocket. Salt, cloth, and even basic supplies become scarce. Smugglers risk their lives slipping past the blockade, but many are caught and their ships destroyed. Still, not all is hopeless. A few American warships and privateers, privately owned ships authorized to attack the enemy, slip through the blockade and strike back. They capture British merchant vessels and bring home precious cargo, giving the public brief moments of pride. But overall, the blockade is working. America is being squeezed, its economy weakening, its people growing restless. Many begin to wonder, if Britain controls the seas, how long can this young nation truly survive this war? And yet, just when hope seems dim, American ships like the mighty USS Constitution prepare to show the world that courage and skill can sometimes outmatch even the greatest navy on earth. Even as the British blockade tightens around America's coast, a few U.S. warships prepare to fight back. The odds seem impossible. Britain's navy is the largest in the world, while America has only a handful of ships. But what the Americans lack in numbers, they make up for with bravery, speed, and skill. The most famous moment comes in August 1812, when the U.S. frigate USS Constitution faces the British ship HMS Guerriere. As the two warships exchange fire, British cannonballs crash against the Constitution's thick oak hull, but they bounce off. An amazed American sailor shouts, "Her sides are made of iron!" From that day on, the ship earns its legendary nickname, Old Ironsides. The battle ends with the Guerriere in flames and the American flag still flying. News of the victory spreads like wildfire. After so many defeats on land, Americans finally have a reason to cheer. And it doesn't stop there. The frigates USS United States and USS Hornet also claim stunning victories over British ships. Even American privateers, small, privately owned vessels, harass British merchant ships across the Atlantic, capturing cargo and proving that the United States cannot be easily bullied. For the first time, Britain feels embarrassed. How could the greatest navy on earth lose to this young, untested nation? For Americans, these victories bring pride, courage, and hope. They remind the people that while the war is far from over, the United States is capable of standing tall. But even with these triumphs at sea, the land war remains uncertain. On the western frontier, Native American warriors and British allies continue to resist. And soon, the struggle will reach a turning point, when a powerful leader named Tecumseh rises to fight. While American and British ships clash on the seas, another fierce struggle takes place on the frontier, deep in the forests and rivers of the West. Here, Native American tribes are caught between two empires, fighting to protect their homelands. At the center of this resistance is a powerful leader, Tecumseh, chief of the Shawnee. Tall, proud, and a gifted speaker, Tecumseh dreams of uniting all native tribes into a single confederacy. He warns his people, "If we fight separately, we will fall. But if we stand together, we can stop the Americans from taking our lands." For Tecumseh, the British become natural allies. From their forts in Canada, the British supply weapons, gunpowder, and support. In return, native warriors fight side by side with British soldiers against the Americans. Early in the war, Tecumseh proves his strength. At the Battle of Detroit, his warriors surround the fort, making their numbers seem larger than they are. The American general, William Hull, terrified of a massacre, surrenders without a fight. It is a humiliating defeat for the United States, and a shining moment for Tecumseh. But Tecumseh's fight is not just about war, it is about survival. For years, native lands have been shrinking, treaties broken, promises ignored. The War of 1812 gives him hope that perhaps, with Britain's help, his people can hold back the tide of American expansion. Yet this alliance is fragile. The British fight for empire, not for native freedom. And when the war turns against them, they will not always stand by their native allies. For now, though, Tecumseh's confederacy is strong, his warriors fierce, and his name feared across the frontier. But soon, his fate, and the fate of his people, will be tested in battles that will decide not just the war, but the future of Native America. It is the summer of 1814. After years of fighting, the war suddenly takes a dark and shocking turn. Across the Atlantic, Britain has finally defeated Napoleon in Europe. Now, they can send their best soldiers and warships straight to America. The target? The very heart of the young republic, Washington, D.C. British forces march quickly toward the capital. At the Battle of Bladensburg, American troops try to stop them, but panic spreads. Many soldiers break ranks and run. The path to Washington lies open. On August 24, 1814, British soldiers enter the city. President James Madison and his cabinet flee, leaving behind a terrified capital. The invaders march straight to the Capitol building, where Congress once debated war. Torches are lit. Flames rise into the night sky. Next, they head to the White House. First Lady Dolly Madison, refusing to leave until the last moment, saves a famous portrait of George Washington. Then she escapes, just before British troops set fire to the president's home. For hours, the city burns. The glow of the flames can be seen for miles. The once proud capital of the United States lies in ashes, a humiliation unlike any the nation has ever known. And yet, in the midst of destruction, a strange twist occurs. A powerful thunderstorm rolls in. Winds howl, rain pours, and even a tornado strikes. The storm douses the flames, forcing the British to retreat sooner than planned. Many Americans believe it is an act of divine intervention, a sign that their young nation will not be so easily destroyed. The burning of Washington shocks the world. Some mock America as weak. But for Americans, it lights a fire of determination. They may have lost their capital, but they have not lost their spirit. And soon, in Baltimore, they will prove it. After the flames of Washington, the British believe victory is close. Their next target is Baltimore, one of America's busiest ports and a city full of privateers who have been harassing British ships. If Baltimore falls, the United States may never recover. In September 1814, a massive British fleet sails into Chesapeake Bay. Soldiers land to attack the city by land, while warships prepare to bombard Fort McHenry, the fortress guarding Baltimore's harbor. On the night of September 13th, the attack begins. For 25 long hours, British cannons thunder, rockets scream across the sky, and bombs explode above the fort. The noise is deafening, the ground shakes, and smoke fills the air. Many wonder if the defenders can hold out. Among the witnesses is a young American lawyer named Francis Scott Key. From a ship in the harbor, he watches through the darkness, heart pounding, as the fort endures the relentless fire. All night, flashes of red and white reveal the battle, but no one knows if the fort still stands. Then, at dawn, the smoke begins to clear. And there it is, the American flag, battered but still flying, over Fort McHenry. Against all odds, Baltimore has survived. The British retreat, defeated and humiliated. Overwhelmed with emotion, Francis Scott Key scribbles down lines of poetry. "Oh, say can you see, by the dawn's early light." These words will later become the Star-Spangled Banner, the national anthem of the United States. For Americans, the victory at Baltimore is more than a military triumph, it is a symbol of resilience. After humiliation and fire, the young nation has shown the world that its spirit cannot be destroyed. And soon peace will come, but not before one final, dramatic battle changes the course of history. By late 1814, both America and Britain are exhausted. The United States has suffered invasions, burned cities, and a crippling blockade. Britain, though powerful, has been fighting wars in Europe for more than 20 years. Both sides begin to realize, this war cannot go on forever. In the city of Ghent, in modern-day Belgium, diplomats from America and Britain meet to negotiate peace. For weeks they argue, each side trying to protect its pride. America demands respect for its independence. Britain wants secure borders for Canada and protection for its native allies. But slowly, a compromise takes shape. On December 24, 1814, the two nations signed the Treaty of Ghent. The treaty is simple. Neither side gains new land. Neither side wins great concessions. Instead, it returns things to the way they were before the war, what diplomats call status quo ante bellum. Impressment, the very issue that sparked the war, is not even mentioned. At first glance, it seems like a war fought for nothing. Thousands dead, cities burned, trade ruined, and yet, no clear victor. But for the United States, the treaty means survival. The young republic has stood against the British Empire once again, and it is still standing. News of the treaty takes weeks to cross the Atlantic. Until then, soldiers on both sides keep fighting, unaware that peace has already been signed. And this delay will lead to one last, unforgettable clash, the Battle of New Orleans. It is January 1815. In Europe, the Treaty of Ghent has already been signed. The war is officially over. But across the Atlantic, no one in America knows it yet. The armies still march, the cannons still roar, and one last battle is about to make history. The British set their sights on New Orleans, the gateway to the Mississippi River. Controlling this port would give them power over America's trade in the West. To defend the city, America turns to a bold and fiery general, Andrew Jackson. Jackson is not a polished soldier. He is tough, ruthless, and determined. Gathering a ragtag army of regular soldiers, frontier militiamen, free African Americans, native allies, and even pirates led by Jean Lafitte, Jackson prepares to defend the city at all costs. On January 8, 1815, the British launch their assault. Thousands of redcoats march across the foggy fields toward American lines. The air shakes with cannon fire. But Jackson's men are ready. Behind barricades of earth and cotton bales, they unleash a storm of musket fire and artillery. The British advance again and again, but they are cut down in staggering numbers. In less than an hour, over 2,000 British soldiers lie dead or wounded. The Americans lose only a few dozen. It is not just a victory, it is a stunning triumph. When news of the battle spreads, America explodes with pride. Many don't even know that peace has already been signed in Ghent. To them, it feels like Andrew Jackson has won the war single-handedly. He becomes a national hero, a symbol of American strength, and years later, this victory will help carry him all the way to the presidency. The Battle of New Orleans does not change the terms of the treaty, but it changes the spirit of the nation. The United States, once thought weak and fragile, has proven it can stand against the mightiest empire on earth. The War of 1812 ends not in defeat, but in pride, resilience, and a new sense of American identity.